Please, by the gods, train your neck. This video is going to be a shorter one. Just very briefly, I'm going to touch on the subject of neck training because I think this is a very important area of fitness and potentially of lifting weights that many people neglect. Now, my favorite fitness influencer of all time, Mr. Dr. Michael Israetel, I believe has said in multiple videos that neck training is not important. And he isn't the only person that I've heard that take from, but he is the one that immediately came to my mind because obviously I like to criticize the nonsensical stuff he says on occasion. This is an incredibly bad take. Now, I have a very thick neck, which you may or may not be able to tell because I also happen to have a very big head. But yeah, my neck is pretty wide, thick, rotund, juicy. And there are several advantages to this. So let's go through them one by one. Advantage number one. If you do martial arts, neck training is one of the best things you can do to prevent serious injuries. Neck training is actually one of the only things you can do to avoid concussions. So if you get whacked in the head, a strong neck is one of the only things that can actually protect your brain. Not even headgear is going to prevent your brain smacking against your skull. But a strong neck can absolutely buffer the impact of a strike. This obviously doesn't just go for martial arts. Now, I'm not even going to mention how a strong neck might be useful when it comes to wrestling, grappling. I think that's very obvious, right? It's going to protect your vertebrae, the top of your spine, that's inside the neck, from being damaged if you get put in a chokehold or anything of the sort, or if you're just, wrestling around with guys and there are forces that push against your head from this side maybe or from that. I think it's very obvious how a strong neck might be advantageous here. But even if you don't do martial arts, which if you're a man, if you're watching this, go sign up to a martial arts gym. Unless you've got like zero time on your hands, which I highly doubt. Learn how to fight, man. Even if you don't, though, training your neck can prevent these same types of injuries, concussions and injuries to the spine, to your actual skeletal neck, in lots of other contexts as well. What if you end up in a car crash? What if you fall down a flight of stairs? What if you insert 100 different scenarios that are maybe not super likely, but you might very well encounter in your day-to-day life? Neck training is going to protect you. Of course, neck training is not going to prevent you from being shot in the head. But a strong neck is definitely a whole lot better than a weak neck if your car gets flipped or some shit. Just the chances of you breaking your neck or suffering a severe concussion that really messes up your brain, just serious brain trauma, is decreased by the fact that your neck is nice and chunky, nice and strong. So just in terms of injury prevention, in terms of long-term health, neck training, great. Actually, while we're on the topic of long-term health, let's get into the next point. Beyond injury prevention from actual impacts, things of that nature, Neck training is also one of the best things you can do for your posture. If you're training your neck, chances are your posture is immediately going to be like 50% better. And that sounds a little bit absurd, right? But it is true. Your posture, especially if you are someone who works at a desk in front of your computer, as most people do nowadays, in at least some capacity, your posture is going to be shit naturally because you sit a lot. And neck training is going to counteract that to a very significant extent. So training your neck beyond preventing injuries is also good for your long-term health in this sort of slow burn kind of way. It prevents you from slouching over and eventually, maybe herniating a disc, right? Having a vertebrae slip out of position, some shit like that. It keeps you nice and upright, or gives you the strength to be nice and upright. You can also slouch forward. This depends on the situation, on the occasion. But your overall posture, definitely going to be a whole lot better. Now, visually, in my opinion, the neck also makes a big difference. And this is something most people won't notice consciously, but they will notice it subconsciously. And once I started training my neck and actually started thinking about this topic more consciously, I realized that this was something I had kind of sort of been aware of, even as a kid when looking at, characters in comic books or in movies, that factored into the way I viewed a certain protagonist, a certain character of any type. Having a thick neck makes you look stronger all around. The neck is one of those muscles where obviously big muscles are going to make you look stronger, right? If you have strong shoulders, a strong chest, etc., you're going to look stronger. You're going to be more jacked, literally, so you're going to look more jacked to people. However, there are these details about the way people look. A slightly thicker core that looks really strong, really powerful. Jacked forearms. A thick neck. That may not seem like much, but they do significantly change your perception of someone. I'm trying to think of the name of, I think David Lade was the name. David Lade is one of these classic, maybe fake natties of like the 2010s who made fitness content. And David Lade, in my opinion, is a prime example of this type of thing because he had an incredibly slim waist. And it didn't look particularly jacked. Now, he was very lean, so he had a six-pack, but his midsection looks weak, in my opinion. And this always gives guys a kind of boyish look. You can have a super jacked chest, you can have super jacked shoulders and arms. If you have a weak-looking core, if you have skinny forearms, if you have a pencil neck, as Eric Bugenhagen would say, you are going to look like a boy. These details, because these muscles aren't big, but are incredibly relevant to the stuff you do in your day-to-day life, right? Your core is important to almost everything you do. If you're lifting something up off the ground, if you're holding your own body in position, using strength, almost everything you do regarding strength relates to your core. So a strong core, even just subconsciously, communicates that stability, that reliability. Your forearms, they are involved in almost everything you do when it comes to strength. even more so than the core, potentially. Everything you're holding with your hands is forearm work. So if someone has really big chest muscles, back muscles, etc., but they have skinny forearms, that gives it this kind of fake look. And most people will not be able to put their finger on it. They won't be able to really tell what it is, but it looks like showy. It still looks good. It's better to have those back muscles, those big pectorals, those jacked biceps, etc. It's definitely better to have them than not to have them. But there's something just slightly off about it. Strong forearms, strong core, and a strong neck communicate just a deep-seated masculinity because they are involved in real-world strength, physical, combat, potentially, endeavors. They are just so fundamental to actual activities that involve strength and are not you sitting somewhere lifting a dumbbell. So aesthetics-wise, a thick neck, also very valuable. I think natural hypertrophy actually had a great sort of standard on this. If you can get your neck to be in line with your jawline, which depending on who you are might be harder or easier, that's a pretty good sort of rough estimate of how big you might want to get your neck. Now, for most people, that's sky's the limit, right? Like train your neck rather more than less. But that's a good goal to aim for. Now, before I finish this video and go enjoy my breakfast, here's an extra tidbit for you right at the end. Neck training is actually going to improve your voice. Now, it's not going to immediately deepen your voice necessarily, but it is going to allow the muscles surrounding your vocal cords to relax more. So they might resonate better. You might not feel like you're pressing the sound out of you as much. And it's going to allow you to speak more deeply from what is already there, but what might be suppressed by a neck that is all tight and strained and, not as relaxed as it should be. So if you train your neck, it's going to be stronger overall, which is going to allow the muscles to relax, allow your vocal cords to swing fully, allow you to speak from deeper down, and that's going to improve your voice. That'll be it for this short video. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves, learned something, and go ahead and implement some neck training into your own routine. I recommend just doing the basic movements, so some neck curls essentially, and some, I like to call them neck extensions. I don't know if there's some other name for this exercise, so pushing back. You can probably start with a little bit of weight if you've been training for several years, because some exercises like lateral raises, for instance, do hit the neck a little bit. If you haven't trained at all or you feel like your neck is very weak, maybe start without any weight and just go for as many reps as you can. If you hit like 20 reps, you can go ahead and add a little bit of weight and then step by step just work your way up the way you would with any other exercise. And you can also do, these types of movements. Generally, I would recommend to do mobility work for the neck as well, but that's a bit of a related but still different topic. So yeah, go ahead and search up mobility work for the neck exercises to improve neck health, neck posture. But in terms of actually strengthening your neck, these neck curls and neck extensions, which you can just do lying down on a bench, either on your stomach or on your back, depending on whether you're doing the curls or the extensions. they are definitely going to build that chonky anime character neck that you are looking for. If this video was of value to you, go ahead and drop a like down below, and also a comment with maybe any questions you might have regarding this topic or suggestions for future videos, anything you want me to address, you want me to talk about, some topic you might be interested in, or if you just want to go ahead and push the algorithm a little bit, feel free to leave a comment as well. You can also go ahead and hit me up on Instagram if you're interested in a personalized training program or being coached on your fitness journey. Just drop me a DM and we'll see what we can do. We'll see what your goals are, etc. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more videos of mine in the future. I talk about fitness, general health, and I'm also known to talk about more philosophical topics on occasion. So if those are things you're interested in, oh, this is actually my breakfast alarm. If those are things you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe and activate the notification bell if you want notifications. That's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, have a good one.